to another episode of the Token Talks live from the Solana Hacker House down here in Melbourne. I'm Jared Park, my very special co-host, Mr. Jason Finlay, and we are joined now by Ben, also known as Meathead.
Yep.
We'll go back and forth on that one from Netrunner.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been an interesting week so far. It's been really good kind of getting to put some faces to names, albeit online usernames like mine, Meathead or Meatrunner. You guys can just call me Ben for today. It rolls off the tongue a whole lot easier, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can redo the intro and just take
no, it's cool. It's a running joke with a bunch of people when I get up on spaces. They're like, oh, Meatrunner's here. It's like, no, wait, is it Meathead, Meatrunner? Yeah. People get a tongue tied all the time, so it's fine.
Well, it's a weird thing, right? Because when you're IRL versus online, you kind of almost, if you move too far away from the online persona, it like dissociates the person that you've come to know and love over.
Well, that was the thing. I started in the space and set up my Twitter account and was in Discord and kind of seeing, and I'm not a dev, so I was looking around and I'm like, oh, I need a username. I come from the health and fitness background, owned a gym for 10 years, so it's like, okay, Meathead in real life. It kind of applies here, you know, and it was a bit of a laugh. Actually, my PFP when I first started was like a steak with a face on it, Meathead. So there was a bit of a running joke for a little while with a few of the people that I was involved with. But once we started talking about Netrunner and starting to, I guess, promote the project on Twitter and getting involved with other communities, people kind of knew me as that, and it was like, oh well, that's my identity now. I'm kind of stuck with it. So yeah, my wife doesn't let me live that down. But yeah, it's it's the same as if you built a brand with a particular PFP, then you got to change that. You try and get up on a space, you never get called up. You're like, it's me.
Nobody knows you.
Exactly. That's your online identity now. So you're kind of stuck there. So yeah, it's Meathead. I'm stuck with it.
This isn't even the first time I've had this conversation today. I was sitting over there before, and there needs to be a term, Discord regret, right? Because once you've picked it, you're stuck with it. There's no going back.
Yeah, there should almost be like a warning. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Not like, sorry, this username is taken, but like, are you sure you want this for life?
I compare it to naming your children. You know, are you going to get teased in school? Are they going to be happy as a 30-year-old with that name?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Calling the kid Rick was funny when there was getting born. Anyway, Netrunner. Tell us about it, because I have had a little bit of exposure. I took a quick look over it before. Very cool project.
Cool.
Yeah, what is Netrunner? What does it do, and what makes it special?
So it came out of necessity, really. Coming from a small business background and then getting into Web3 and trading myself. Started trading NFTs. I was trading tokens throughout 2021. During the COVID lockdowns, whilst I was still working in the gym, I was getting there at 10 to 5, loading up equipment onto pallets, dragging it out into the car park, and setting up stations for all my clients that were in a 5K radius that were allowed to come and train, because you could work out outdoors. But technically, my business had to be shut. So I'd get there super early, cart all the shit out to the car park, cone it all off, and then roll the door for the factory. And we basically had an online booking system, so we had them set up lengthways across the car park. So if you're the first one there, you went to the furthest bay, your program was on your app, your equipment that you needed for the day was there, and then as the appointment slots would fill up, all 4 bays would be taken. By the time the 4th person was like halfway through their workout, the first person was finishing, and they'd leave, and they never have to really cross paths. So we tried to meet all of the New South Wales health regs as best we could. But whilst that was happening, I was there from 5 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. most nights. Long days, doing like online sessions in between, but it really gave me a lot more time to dive right into Web3. I've been interested in crypto Web3 since 2014. It was when I first got exposed to Bitcoin. Unfortunately, didn't buy any because I couldn't figure out how to. I had a mate of mine that was in my year for months, like, you need to get on top of this, and I was like, it's too fucking hard. Like, I just gave up on it. And then, circled back in 2020. And then again in 2021 was when I really kind of knuckled down and would spend a few hours a day in between. We had some quiet time and no one was training downstairs. So I was like, all right, I can just be on the laptop and try and gain an understanding. So I started doing like loaning TA, trading some coins, and not very well. Even
that was great at the start, right?
If you're losing money in a bull market, you're doing something really wrong, and that was fucking me. So I was like, not really very good at this. And then one of my athletes introduced me to NFTs. And it's like, first I was giving him a hard time because he was on his phone during a training session. I'm like, dude, I'm a trainer, what are you doing? It's like, I just flipped an NFT for a $500 profit. It's like, what? What is this? Show me this internet money. And that's how I got introduced to Solana NFTs, and that was like late 2021. And I spent maybe 2 months kind of on the sidelines, just getting involved with communities and trying to learn about what was happening here. And I was really intrigued by the tech and the potential use cases for NFTs. And at that same point in time, I was already in the process of selling my business and moving on from there. I had my second child on the way, and a lot of things in my life were kind of at a bit of a tipping point, I would say. I'd been in business for 10 years and was, no longer passionate about it, and kind of felt like it was wash, rinse, repeat for the last 2 years. And by that point, I was ready to just, hang up the uniform and leave it. So I was able to, negotiate a deal with our main employee, and he's taken on the business, and he's continued to grow and flourish. And it's great to see that business is still running and successful. But it also gave me the opportunity to have a career change and also spend a little bit more time in Web3, which has become a real big passion project. I guess that's why we're all here. Whilst, the financial side of it's exciting, the tech and the community is kind of what keeps us here, right? Everyone gets interested in trading because there's a chance of a quick flip or profit, but the friends you meet along the way and the relationships you build, and events like this that make it all feel real. It's like, okay, there's these internet friends that I talk to on a daily basis, and then this is it in real life. It's been really cool. But once I kind of made the jump and started minting and flipping NFTs, essentially, it was like, okay, it was rolling into tax time. I was wrapping up the sales of my business. I had a bunch of stuff to submit to my accountant. They're like, right, we need your transaction history for this. And I was like, okay. Started using some tools, and I was like, this is painful. And then I was like, maybe it's just me. I can't remember which wallet I've got this NFT staked in. I've lost track of these. I was trying to keep a spreadsheet, but it just got impossible to keep up. And it was like, you know what? By the end of the week, I'd made 50 to 100 transactions, and then trying to come back on the weekend and do them with little kids and everything else. It just got left by the wayside, and it was like, there has to be a better way. And started talking to other traders in the space and other project owners, and I was like, this is my idea. Do you know anything similar that exists? And I was met with, no, if you find something, please tell me, or if you could build it. So that's where that idea kind of stemmed from, and fortunately I was able to, I guess, find the right guys at the right time, and we got to work, and we were kind of toing and froing around, like, do we just build it and then try and market it like a typical, I guess, SaaS product and go down the route of paid advertising, SEO, and that kind of stuff? Or do we really embrace the Web3 culture and ethos of like community and co-ownership and collaboration? And that's something that's what brought us here. So it was like, it seems fitting to build something and yeah, exactly right, and go through that same journey together. So it's like, all right, let's do an NFT. The NFT is going to act as the access pass to access the tools and the portfolio manager and the tax reporting tool. And off the back of that, the plan has always been to launch a paid subscription service. However, if you own one of our NFTs, you have two options to access. You can either buy an NFT from the secondary marketplace, or you can pay a subscription, either or. So whichever makes the most sense for you at the current time based on prices and all the rest of it. So we launched our NFT through Magic Eden's launchpad back in July. It was 8th of July last year. And that was a really interesting time for a utility project to try and launch. We were one of, I think back then you had 3 or 4 collections launching every day, and we were one of 3 projects that actually sold out their collection that entire month. So there was us, Liberty Square, and I want to say Nexi Labs, I think the project was, but those 3 were the only 3 projects that sold out the entire month of July. So it was a really stressful time as a project founder. We were literally like 10 minutes into the mint and people were commenting, cut the supply, drop the price, it's not going to sell out. It's like, man, just give us some time, for God's sake. Like
10 minutes and you're getting for
seriously, like we're not even past the first whitelist phase. Like, what is happening here?
NFT DJs, mate.
Seriously, they're sitting there on the sideline, like waiting to flip, and like, we haven't sold out 50% of the supply in the first hour. This is going to be a problem. It's like, no, we'll just keep it going, and we're able to sell out. I think it took about 3 hours, but collection sold out. Had some nice little secondary volume for the first kind of week or so, and then we delivered our MVP. We'd kind of shown sneak peeks of that, and I mean, it's good to see the market's matured significantly. People just aren't blindly throwing money at anything and everything. And I mean, we had OK Bears minted, and the market just, that took everyone by surprise. I don't even think they expected it to do as well as it did. Credit to them, they had an insanely successful launch. But then off the back of that, every 10K collection was meant to be the next OK Bears. Like, had Great Goats launch a few weeks later. It was like, there's however many thousands sold, just removed from the ecosystem. And then it was like the next project that did the same thing, and the next project. So by the time we got to launching, it was like, okay, do you have a working product? Can you show us what you've actually built? So we had some sneak peeks of some, screen recordings of what we were building, and I think it was 3 days post-mint. I think we minted, it was Friday for the US, so Saturday morning for us, and we gave all of our NFT holders access to the tool that Monday, so like 2 business days, and they had access to it. So, and then from there, all of our NFT holders are basically been classed as our research and development team. They've all had early access, they've been utilising the features, providing feedback, suggestions, and I mean, for us, it's been a really pleasant experience. Like, a lot of projects unfortunately face a lot of harsh criticism, both internally, externally, for many, many reasons. And for us, we've been really fortunate. All of our holders and community members have been really, really supportive. Anytime there is a bug or an error or a problem with the app, they bring it up in a pretty reasonable and rational manner. We have a pretty well set up Discord for managing like beta testing feedback and highlighting bugs, and a good ticketing system. And I mean, I attribute that to my team members, like my community managers. We call them the people team. They're unreal. Like, without them, there's no way we'd be where we are today, because we spend so much of our time kind of doing the business development side and the back end development. But without Asta and Jim, we'd be screwed. They do all the customer facing kind of interactions. I write announcements, but they do all of the day-to-day conversational stuff, handle tickets, or pull up either the devs or myself if there's a problem that they can't resolve. But the way that those kind of issues and bugs are handled is really, really smooth, and I think that's what's made it such a pleasurable experience, because we've been able to, ship something, test it, they'll break it for us, and then we can fix it so much faster than having it go to market, and then it takes so much longer to get that feedback back. Because traditional tech or products, you ship it and you don't necessarily hear about it if it sucks. They just don't buy it again, and then you just burn through customers. It's like our retention rate is terrible, but why? Like, you don't get that feedback, whereas within the community you do, and you're able to engage with them and discuss with them, and it's been really good.
So basically, an NFT holder of Netrunner NFT, they connect their wallet to DeFi platforms, NFTs. Basically, it tracks all their transactions, calculates taxable gains, losses, transactions, and so how precise is it? Obviously, is there? I've used Coinly for my centralised exchange tax return, and it was way off. And obviously, you had to go through and obviously adjust things where maybe it wasn't right. I can imagine in the DeFi space and the NFT space, that would be even more complicated than a centralised exchange. Yeah. So how have you sort of counteracted that? How precise is your process?
Look, I can't give, a guarantee for completeness and accuracy of the data, because a lot of it comes down to the input, right? So in terms of the logic we use for calculating capital gains or P&L, it's very heavily reliant on the input, and a lot of the historical transactions, like early 2022, late 2021, it's a mess, man. And the information that comes in is one part of it, and then manual reconciliation from the user is a requirement, unfortunately. Like, we can't automate absolutely everything just because of how messy the earlier data actually is. It's definitely improving, and teams that are building DeFi protocols, NFT marketplaces, have really created some really smooth platforms, and the way that their transaction fees occur and all that is definitely getting better. And teams like Solana FM are doing a really good job at improving blockchain explorers and making it user-friendly and human-readable, so that within Netrunner, if there is a transaction that requires attention, if there's missing price information or it's been labelled incorrectly and you're not sure as a user what it is, transaction signature's there, click that, and it'll open up the Explorer, and you can see for yourself where the transaction was made, what amount was there, and if it's an outgoing transaction or whatnot and it's missing cost information, you can just recopy the signature and paste that in update, or you can edit cost basis manually. So it's not 100% perfect, and it is very much reliant on the information that's first input. So if you've got a wallet that's missing and you constantly transfer your NFTs to and from that wallet, but that's not actually connected to the site, those incoming NFT transactions, it won't automatically tag that as one of your internal transfers, because your other wallet, you've been moving it back and forth between isn't. But once you do that, it'll tag that as an internal transfer from
one NFT and sold for a bunch of other NFTs, and all that can be reconciled and sorted out.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like within the degen space, there's a lot of OTC trades that happen. Thankfully now we have platforms that make it safe and secure, but it's hard for our programs like us to automatically assign values to that. Like you're saying, if you trade multiple NFTs as part of a deal, plus some sold and whatnot, like how do you assign a specific cost or attribute the cost to that particular NFT or one of the 5 NFTs made in that deal? So as a user, you've got to sit down with your tax professional and kind of go, right, well, this is what I did. In your professional opinion, what's going to be the best thing for me to do with my, trading history and my financial position? What's going to be the best way forward? And it's no different to choosing the right cost basis for you and a region-specific cost basis. And I mean, we're not here to provide that consulting advice to you as a platform provider. We provide you the tools. We advise you to work with your tax professional or tax lawyer to get that advice and use the tool appropriately for your own needs. And once you've reconciled all of your reports and everything's done, you can download a CSV file for your capital gains and income reports, as well as a summarized report, which kind of like at a glance shows you your capital gains or your net gains, net losses, total income, anything that you've gifted or donated to charities, and you can hand that to your accountant and then go, right, and if you really want it, here's a CSV with all 10,000 of my transactions. And I mean, like the speed and frictionless of transactions on Solana is what really differentiates this ecosystem from a lot of other blockchains. And whilst there's thriving NFT ecosystems elsewhere, the volume of transactions that Solana degens perform are, magnitudes greater than any other chain. So our average user has 13,000 transactions, and yeah.
So the need for a tool like yours?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, owning the NFT is a significantly cheaper entry point versus another platform that charge, $5.99 US for up to 10,000 transactions. And, above that, you're needing an enterprise plan or, it's costing $1,000 per year.
Plus, let's face it, I mean, we've spoken a lot on the podcast about having value behind projects, right? And value behind tokens, whether they're fungible or non-fungible.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is there is a marketing aspect to it as well. And if you've got 13,000 transactions from trading NFTs, do you want to pay $5.99 a month? You just want to grab another NFT.
Correct. It's what you're familiar with and comfortable with, and when you have access to the team behind it and can jump into Discord, ask questions, see other people that are using the platform, it's such a different experience. And that's what I think a lot of people that are outside this space find it hard to comprehend. Like, why would someone choose to use an NFT for that over a traditional platform? And it's like, well, if you're a part of the ecosystem, you get it. But without jumping in and experience that, it's like, how do you describe the taste of peanut butter to someone who's never had peanuts or taste of peanut butter before? How do you explain that? It's an experience. You have to do it for yourself, and then you can relate other things to that. Without that initial experience, it's hard. So for us and the NFT side, like that was a big thing for us. We really wanted to embrace the community aspect of it, and we see that with the collaborations that we've had with various projects and being able to provide value to other projects and their utility tokens by allowing them to pay for a subscription in their native SPL token. So it allows their holders to use a token that they've received for participating in whatever that project's utilities are and gamification and earning tokens from there that have a monetary value. They're able to pay us for a subscription. So that's something that's going to be coming very, very soon.
So model that makes a lot of sense. And just for everybody out there watching as well, we recently had a podcast with Pat Simon from Cadena, tax specialist. Something about you guys in the crypto tax space. Dad managed to make things like taxation really interesting. I mean, I've never heard a taxation peanut butter metaphor before in my life, so that's a new one.
Well, look, I used a toothpaste analogy on Wednesday for the presentation.
Keep it interesting, get people what they know.
And that's been my kind of tagline up on Twitter Spaces and stuff since the very beginning. Was the goal for Netrunner was to become basically like in terms of the behaviour and the repetitiveness of it, it's like brushing your teeth, right? Hopefully you brush your teeth in the morning before you leave the house and at night before you go to bed. It's like, it's best dental practice and
on-chain hygiene.
Basically, right? And in the beginning, your parents had to drill it into you, the dentist reminds you to floss twice a day and all the rest of it. And when it comes to using a toothbrush or toothpaste, you're not really too picky. Like if you have sensitive teeth, you might buy a specific brand. Once you have one that you like and work, you buy the same thing. Unless something else is on sale and you can get it at a heaps good discount, yeah, I'll take that. But for the most part, it's something that you don't even think about. You just go grab it and get it done. And it's best practice, and that's what we want for Netrunner. Is it to be, the first thing you do when you dive into Web3 is you crack open Netrunner, check your portfolio, see what your net worth is. You can liquidate some of your assets from then and there within the portfolio dashboard. We have an integration with Jupiter that allow users to perform fee-free token swaps. So if you have a bag of dust and it's pumped, and you jump over to the swap section and swap that for USDC then and there's no additional fees. You can do that from within the dashboard. If you see that your NFTs have pumped and you want to catch that wave, you can list it directly to Magic Eden from within the dashboard, and very soon you'll be able to hit the instant sell button and capture that instant liquidity from AMMs, which would be very, very cool. And it also means that, like, leading into tax season, because you have the portfolio dashboard there and the tax reporting on a separate tab, you can flick between the two and you can see, my unrealized P&L. Then you can go back and see what your actual capital gains have been accruing, and any income that's come through from getting paid for, providing goods and services or staking rewards, and you can reconcile things as they happen. So if you've done an OTC trade then and then, you go, all right, this is my strategy is I want to assign, I got paid 10 sol for 5 NFTs, but this is a rare one, that one's worth 5, and then I'm going to divvy up the other amount of sol across the other assets. You can reconcile it then and there, and then it's done, and you can keep moving on. And that's, for us, is something that we want to empower users to have that access to that.
Yeah, that real time, that's valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the integrations, that's so impressive.
And like going through the financial year as you're trading, and hopefully you're up. And if you are, and you look at it and you kind of go, well, my unrealized P&L is looking pretty good too, but this NFT is down real bad in fiat value due to market conditions and whatnot. And you're kind of like, if I sell that, I can realize that loss and reduce my net capital gain and offset some gains there. Like, okay, boom, instant sell. Or, if it's a spam NFT or it's, a rug collection and there's no market for it, jump across to the integration we have with Soul Incinerator and burn that token and realize the loss there. So we've tried to work with other teams so we don't have to reinvent the wheel ourselves, but work with other teams that kind of complement our service offering, but also provide value to them and their tool as well. So it's really trying to become, I guess, the one-stop shop.
It's a very cool project. I was going to say, there is one other thing that I noticed from talking with you and talking with Pat and talking with tax professionals, which sounds to me like you're doing just about as much as is possible, and then probably even more so, even slightly more than that, in a space that is very hard to navigate, right?
Yeah.
And the key is always going to be talk to your tax professional, right? This is going to solve all your problems, but it's going to make things a hell of a lot easier, improve your quality of life.
Yeah.
I think the Hacker House is starting to wrap up. I can hear people starting to get to it. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. Before we go, actually, have you got any potential founders out there, people who want to come down this journey or thinking about coming into Web3? Any messages for them? You want to scare them off, encourage them?
Yeah, look, it's definitely a challenging task. I would say if you have small business experience, that's going to set you up for success because you have the resiliency and the problem-solving abilities. The other side of it is, like, if you're really interested in launching a project, work to your strengths and hire people that can fill the gaps. Because, as a first-time small business owner, a lot of mistakes that we all make is trying to hire more of the same, and that doesn't work because you either butt heads or you're just unproductive because you're both trying to do the same thing. You really need to hire for your weaknesses. Hire slow, fire fast. Sometimes you have to be able to navigate and move quickly because you're on a tight budget, you're on a very tight time schedule. It's incredibly rewarding, but at the same time, it's just as exhausting. Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and especially within this ecosystem, like running a small business is very relatable. But in this ecosystem, you have the constant demand because it's 24/7. Right? You have NFT holders or community members that are worldwide, multiple time zones, and it's like you either need to hire community mods in various time zones, or you need to be active. And people want you to ship products, but they want you to be on Spaces all day, and they want you providing announcements every other day that pump the floor price. And it's like, set realistic expectations, learn to communicate, and if that's not your strength, find someone who is and teach them about the technicalities of your product and have them do the communication on your behalf. Because I think you could be a really good dev, have a really high technical understanding, or be a subject matter expert in any field, but if you're not a very good communicator, you're really going to struggle to find a product market fit because people can't I mean, people buy into people, right? So, which is why some of the projects we're seeing in Solana and even in ETH, a lot of them that have the highest, I guess, social equity also have the highest floor price. And it's because they've got really active business development members or a really active founder who has a great personality, communicates really well, and is always there. You know, they're always front of mind. And I mean, two collections that do it really well, like D-Gods and Frank, on Solana and soon to be ETH, but Pudgy Penguins. Like, I really think they're setting the standards for content creation and like outside of our ecosystem too. I don't know if you follow those guys, but Instagram, 300,000 followers and not a word about crypto. Like, really, really cool stuff. They're doing it really, really well. In terms of what their greater ambitions are, I don't own a Pudgy Penguin. I don't own any ETH NFTs. Solana's for the pools, that's where I am. That's why I'm there, but I really admire what they've done, and, you know, would aspire to try and emulate not what they say or how they say it, but the volume and frequency of their communications. Because we all have different messages to share with people, but that is something that's absolutely crucial. And if you're not the confident speaker or not comfortable getting up on spaces and that kind of thing, find someone who is. Tell them everything they need to know about your project and get them out there, because that's going to be the message. 100%. Because without that, that's what this ecosystem is kind of built on. It's those relationships and collaborations. So.
You on that one?
Yeah.
But, like you said, I think it's beer o'clock. Ben?
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great chat.
Very much, mate.
Thanks, Jason.
I'll be off to buy a Netrunner NFT as soon as I get home.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.